Hey, welcome back to the Okayest Cook Podcast. I'm Chris Whonsetler, your host, coming at you from the office again. We are wrapping up the holiday season, and getting a hold of the rest of the guys is proving pretty tricky. So you got me today, but I got a cool guest coming on. I've got Chef Ian Groesbeck. Ian, how are you today?
Good, man. How you doing?
I'm just, trying to recover from the holidays.
Yeah, same.
I think in the last episode I mentioned, all the charcuterie I've been eating and just all the desserts and this and that, and trying to kick off New Year's right and trying to hit the gym a little bit more, and we'll see how long that lasts.
Right.
Any fun resolutions on your end that you're trying to manage?
I think my big resolution is just balance for the year. I did pretty good with it this past year, and it works very well. Right now, like me and my co-chef, my catering partner, we do private dining, and so we go to people's houses and rental houses in this area, and we just cook nice dinners for people.
Yes.
So this past 2 weeks, we had a long stretch. We had a bunch of caterings back to back, and it was a lot of hours. So today's like the first day off to just relax and get back to normal. And
and you hop on with us.
Exactly.
Oof. So is the winter, like the holiday season, like is that when you're like some of your busiest with the catering?
Yeah. So I live in a town called Heber. We're about 15 minutes from Park City, and so it's a big resort area. The town I'm in right now I actually live in Heber. It's more for families. There's not as much resort action happening here, but it's really close to Park City, canyons, just all the ski resorts up here that are really popular, and it's been busy this year.
So people don't want to cook; they just want to have you come do it.
Exactly.
Well, shoot, we're halfway there already. Do you want to share with the listeners a little bit more about who you are and what you do? And you've gave us kind of the 20-second version here. Dig a little bit deeper into who Chef Ian is.
So I'm a chef. I've been cooking and I'm in Utah, for anyone who doesn't know. And I came from restaurants. I've been cooking professionally for almost 10 years. A few years ago, I kind of branched off and decided to do my own thing privately and start my own business doing private dining. And so I moved up closer to the resort areas, closer to Park City, so I can just get more work up here. And I also have family up here. So we're up in the mountains. I love it. And I'm doing a lot of cooking. And
it sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sounds like little to no overhead either, right? Like you don't have your own kitchen. Is that right?
Yeah, we have a little bit of a commissary kitchen in Salt Lake that we'll do a lot of our prep work out of.
I gotcha. Awesome, dude. That sounds super cool. We would love to have somebody on the show and like do like a live cooking thing. And so if you ever find yourself in Central Indiana at some point, hit us up and we'll chat about something there, because like I said, the show is all about learning how to cook, and it's tough just chatting about it and listening about it, and then taking that days or sometimes a week later and actually putting it to practice. So I need the hands-on, I need the guidance. I need to do it.
I would love to do that. I didn't even know that was an option, but I can
definitely. Yeah, come on. Yeah. I guess if we've got the budget to get you to Central Indiana. Nice. Well, tell me more about some of your holiday seasons here. Any notable meals you've had lately?
I usually aim towards just comfort food. I just elevate it a little bit and just try to make it something a little bit different, but not to stray too far from what's familiar for people, unless they really want me to. I can cook whatever is needed. But I definitely have a style where I like to cook with ingredients that are native to the land here in Utah, and I make sure to use, all the components of whatever ingredient I'm using. If I'm cooking rabbit, I'll make rabbit stock out of the bones, and I'll do everything I can with the meat, and do that with all the animals I cook with, really.
That's super cool. Yeah. Yeah, let's dive into that here in a minute.
Yeah.
What have you eaten recently that you've been a big fan of, or something that's
So
like sticking out in your mind?
yeah, so I was really busy over the holidays, so I didn't get to see the
Yeah.
family very much. But I made it a point last night to take my mom out and go have like a nice dinner, just a
Oh,
nice
that's
night
cool.
out with my mom. And we went to one of my favorite restaurants here in Utah. It's called Oker, and
Ochre, okay.
I think those guys, yeah, it's in Salt Lake City, and those guys just nailed the type of food that I like to
All right.
create, and also just the type of food I like to eat for myself. And it's more of the menu is kind of fine dining, but
Okay.
it's stripped down a little bit. It's the kind of place that anyone can go and be comfortable. It's
Nice.
not, overly pretentious or anything like that. And they just care about quality and service above all else. And
Nice. Nice.
the food was amazing.
Not one of those places you got to worry about what spoon you're using and getting dirty looks.
Yeah. No, we ordered like 7 things from the menu, and we were
Oh,
just
nice.
splitting it up, and it
That's
was fun.
cool. Yeah. You actually posted on your Instagram some of those dishes.
Yeah.
What exactly did you eat? We might
So
be
we
able
had
to pop
few
up
things.
the photos somewhere around here. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty cool with those guys. I think they'd be fine with it.
Yeah. Can you explain this? I'm looking at it right now. Explain this one dish, the one that they reposted.
Yeah, put my story up there.
I don't know if I can do it live. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
It's that. Oh, you
Yeah,
can't see
yeah.
the
So
focus.
that was a smoked red cabbage dish with a
Okay.
romesco sauce, and they just shaved a bunch of Parmesan on top of it, and it was
Oh, man.
just so freaking good.
I see the cabbage now. Initially, I
Yeah.
thought it was like some kind of like tartare or like some raw meat
Yeah,
protein.
it looks like meat. It looks
Yeah.
like a steak almost.
It did. It did.
But yeah, it was nice and smoky. It was cooked perfectly, and the
Red
flavors
cabbage, huh?
met so well. It was just like comfort food.
Yes. Yes. And did you mention what it's sitting on? Like, what's that base? The orange.
I think that's more the romesco sauce.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
that red orange sauce under it. They put that on top of it also. And
Now, romesco, that is that a sauce they use with ratatouille a lot? Kind of
you
the
can
same style, or
I've used it in ratatouille before.
okay,
Romesco sauce is really just like roasted red peppers, tomatoes, and a lot of recipes thicken it with like bread, like stale sourdough bread or something like that.
ah,
Um, I mean, it goes great with so many different things. You
yeah,
can add spice, you can add some acidity. It's really easy to make thing at home. You just
nice.
roast the
I'm
peppers.
trying to learn the terms, and that one rang a bell. So
Yeah, it's a good one to remember. If you see it on a menu, it's a tasty.
it's tasty sauce. Yeah. I had a dish with Harder Brunch. They're another local Indiana podcast, and they made some ratatouille, and that was awesome. Yeah. So I had to do
Nice.
some Googling and digging around. Well, dude, a notable meal I just had that I made myself was a ham and bean soup. And it doesn't get much more classic comfort, stick to
yeah.
your ribs. Yeah, middle of
Oh,
winter. It hit the spot.
I like
I
that.
will say it was a touch too salty. So some of the ham hocks and oh gosh, there's another piece of ham or a hog chunk, a jowl. I got some jowls to put in there. And the hocks and jowls were pre-smoked, pre-brined, I'm assuming. And they just brought a lot of salt that I was expecting a little bit, but not quite that much.
Yeah.
Luckily,
Yeah,
I didn't
Yeah.
add much of my own salt, so it didn't go like way overboard.
You got to be careful with those cured meats like that, because sometimes it can be really salty. And so usually throughout the cooking process, I'll wait to taste it until it's like fully cooked, and then see how much of that salt really came through with the ham. And then if it needs more, add more. But if it doesn't, just leave it alone.
It did not need anything.
To level that out, you just need to add more food.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of one of those pantry clearing meals. So I just grabbed whatever bean I had. I think I ended up with black-eyed peas and the ham pieces and just whatever vegetables I had laying around, and it worked. Like
Good for you.
carrots,
Sounds good.
celery, some stock. Yeah, it was solid. But yeah, just that addition of the fat from the gels, like so much fat. Gosh, they were probably 2 inches thick, just pure flavor, just
Nice.
making a real hearty, gelatinous mess that was just stick to your ribs. And oh man, it was so good.
Oh
Absolutely
man,
loved it.
just get your face messy and just dig right in. I love that.
Yes, yes. Um, well, let's dive into some of the topic that we were chatting about earlier on, and you kind of alluded to it earlier with your stock making. And honestly, I didn't tee up that ham and bean, like that was legit my meal I was going to go with regardless of the
Yeah.
topic.
You're just like, I
Um,
need to tell them about
but
this.
I think it meshes really well, just like using the bones and some of these off cuts that you would typically just throw away.
Yeah,
But
that really inspires me a lot, like in my own cooking. Just throughout the years, like so I started in restaurants, and that's where I learned technique and just food
mhm.
knowledge and all that.
Did you go
And
to school at all, or just straight in?
did I go to school?
Yeah, like culinary school.
No. So when I was in high school, I went to I had like AP cooking classes where we would go
Okay.
to the college and take classes
Oh, awesome.
from their culinary teachers and stuff. And I did a competition with them, and I ended up winning my
No way.
senior year of high school. And so like I fell in love with food like earlier on.
That's super
But
cool.
then when I went to college, I actually graduated in like criminal justice, and
Okay.
it didn't
I
really
want to see how
stick.
those two relate.
Yeah, towards the end of my degree, I was pretty checked out. I just realized
Mm,
that, I needed to do something I was actually passionate about and cared more personally for. Just
yeah,
needed to do something that I knew could make me happy if I went about it right. And
for sure.
I've always been a creative person, so that avenue was food.
Nice.
And I made that decision, about 10 years ago, and have not looked back.
That's super cool. Yes. Well, what you mentioned that you're a little bit of restaurant stint, currently doing the catering business. Um, and you mentioned stocks earlier. Yeah, so making like rabbit
Yeah.
stock and all this stuff. Um, let's dive in there a little bit more. So not only making stocks, but also just helping to eliminate food waste. As a professional, like you like to use everything that's in front of you. And I think just American culture in general just wastes a lot of food. So what are some of the things that we can be doing to a cut back on our end, but also just make use of what we have, save money, save time and energy and all the things.
Yeah. And let's throw in just make better food in general, because if you're
Yes.
making your own stocks at home, you're already ahead of the game. You're,
100%.
that stuff's going to be way better than anything off a shelf. So, um, yeah, I think I just noticed a lot of waste happening in restaurants I worked at, and we did try, as hard as we could to do what we could with it. One of the restaurants that I worked at, we did make our own stocks and
Mhm.
broths, soup bases, and so that was kind of where I learned and got good at that. And then I kind of just adopted that in my own cooking, and it. I don't know. I think these days it's really important to consider sustainability as much as possible,
Oh yeah.
just given the condition of our agriculture industry and the food industry as a whole. Food cost is going up all over overnight sometimes,
Hmm.
and so it's cost effective, it's healthier, and it tastes better if you're just doing things like making your own stocks. And there was
Yeah.
actually this. So it was a few years ago. I was making stocks and just soup bases basically for different types of soup. I was doing like 7 different stocks out of my apartment, and there was a butcher shop I was going to in Utah County, and um, I was buying their bones and their scraps from their cattle and their
Hmm.
pigs and stuff, and just whatever they had, I would take it and just take it home and go make stocks and sell it
Nice.
out of my apartment.
All
And
right.
they ended up giving me a job for about a year. I was doing that for them,
Okay.
and they were like, "We kind of want to do that, but we don't have someone for it." So I kind of got that going for them,
The stock
and
man.
I just got creative with it. I was making like pho broth with oxtail. I was
Mm.
making katsu ramen broth with pig's feet. I was making chicken stock, beef stock, everything you
Oh
could.
my gosh.
Yeah, you can do anything with this stuff. I was even making like miso soup broth and dashi broth. So I just think it's really important to just use as much as you can of all the ingredients that you have in front of you. So, say you get like a rotisserie chicken from the store and you shred it and eat it, do whatever you want with it. You still have a whole chicken carcass that you can
Yeah.
throw in a pot of water, and that's all you need to do. Just throw those bones and whatever little bits of meat and fat are still in there. Throw it all in a pot and just cover it with water, and get it up to a low boil, and then just drop the heat and let it simmer. And I just let it cook for about 4 hours. You can go longer. Sometimes I'll go overnight if I really want a lot of flavor and gelatin.
Mm.
And the gelatin in the bones is really healthy. It's good for your skin, your hair, everything.
Oh yeah.
Um, but then when you compare the flavors of a stock that you make just as simply as you do by just pouring water, like a gallon of water over a chicken carcass, if you compare the stock that comes from that to the stock that you get from the store that's fortified and they're adding different extracts and sometimes weird ingredients, sometimes you can find some good stuff, but I mean, majority of the time, your stock that you make at home is just going to be better. And
Oh yeah.
to save space in your freezer, you can just cook it down and reduce it and put it in
Mhm.
a smaller container, and then just make a little note like mix this with half a gallon of
Super
water.
concentrated.
I have 2 quarts of stock,
Yeah.
and so it's just convenient. It's free because you're just gonna throw the bones and
Already paid for. We'll say that.
garbage away. And so why not make more food with that? I mean, a
Exactly.
quart
Yeah.
of stock, you can do plenty with that. Put that in any soup, any sauce, whatever.
For
So
sure.
it's kind of a blank canvas. And obviously, like we were talking about before, there are ways that you can, elevate it a little bit. And we can talk
Yeah.
about that later if you want.
Absolutely. Yeah. What listeners, have you ever like just tasted straight out, like just taking a spoon of stock from the like any box that you use, any brand, just from the store? Like honestly, it's not that good. It's better than just straight water, like in a soup, but like the stock by itself just isn't that good. I don't like I said, I don't know what's in it, the preservatives, the fortified agents, I don't know. But like Ian said, like if you just compare that to just a simple rotisserie chicken bone stock, it's just like it's denser. Like you can feel like the oils and the fats like on your tongue, and it's just so much richer and just it's decadent compared to like that store bought junk. We'll call it junk because it is, I think. But
It really is. I mean, you can use it in a pinch if you don't have stock. I mean, that's
yeah,
okay to do. That's fine. But
yeah,
it is important to know that you can do this. It's easy. Anyone can do it. You don't need a lot of technique or anything. You don't need experience. Just take the
yeah.
bones, cover it with water, let it cook.
Well, I love the fact you said that like that's all you need,
Yeah.
like just the bones.
Mhm.
Do you like to keep your stocks pretty neutral like that, or do you like to add different ingredients like when you're simmering it down initially?
So there's a couple different ways to look at it. When I was working at a fine dining restaurant here in Utah, and when we would make it there, we kept it really neutral. It was just bones, and sometimes we would add mirepoix, which is just 2 parts onion, 1 part celery, 1 part carrot.
Okay,
We throw that in there just to kind of round out the flavor a little bit. But we use that because we use that same stock for a bunch of different things.
sure.
So if you're going to be using it for a lot of different stuff and doing a lot of different cooking at home, then I would, yeah, just do that. That's great because you can always add other flavors later.
Yeah.
Um, but what I do personally at home, I do the bones. I do roasted mirepoix. So I'll take the carrots and the onion and the celery. I'll throw it in the oven, get a little
Ooh.
browning on that just for a little flavor. And then so I'll throw the bones, whatever scrap meat is left, the mirepoix, and then I'll throw some herbs in too. So I'll throw a
Okay.
couple bay leaves, some black peppercorns, thyme, a little bit of rosemary. I mean, those flavors come in like pretty well, so you don't need a lot of
Yeah.
the herbs. I like sage too. I
Ooh,
just
yeah.
actually just got these herbs tattooed on my arm the other day.
Yes, I love it.
But yeah, so that's my go-to for home. Just some
That's like,
herbs, the mirepoix, a little bit of black peppercorn. You can add more if you want, but I'd say that would make a perfect, beef stock, chicken stock, pork
oh
stock,
man.
whatever you have.
Yes, dude, that sounds phenomenal. Um, so the bones, are you roasting those as well, or just
Yeah.
okay?
So sometimes when I do the rotisserie chickens, if I like just get it at the store or something, or I just make one at home, sometimes I'll just throw the bones in the pot just as is because they're already
Sure.
pretty cooked. But if I have the time, and that's the only deciding factor here, is that
Yeah.
if I have the time to throw everything in the oven and roast it, I will,
Okay.
because you'll get the Maillard effect on the bones, the meat, the fat, the vegetables.
Yeah.
Um, I won't cook the herbs. I just throw the herbs in fresh.
Sure.
But if you have the time, roast it a little bit, get some color on the bones. The flavor will come through.
Nice.
It's noticeable,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
I
So
like
I
that
yeah,
flavor.
I've always seen people roasting the bones, but I haven't tried
Yeah,
roasting them
I would
myself. I just chuck them in there and
I would definitely recommend it if you can.
sure.
But if you're in
Nice.
a pinch and you just want something simple, it's fine to just throw everything in
Okay.
fresh. That's fine.
Yeah. So like, would you say like raw bones as well? Like, because a lot of our audience is hunters. I'm a big hunter. The rest of the crew is a big hunter. So we have a lot of like just venison just hanging out.
Hmm.
And as we're breaking down, some of these animals, I've got a duck in my fridge right now. That I should probably turn into stock. So like, but like if you don't roast that, like just chucking it in there, just 100% raw, like versus like already cooked like rotisserie, like you think that'd be fine as well?
Raw, I wouldn't. You
Okay.
can. So there are some like tonkatsu ramen broth. Um, I would sometimes throw the pig's feet in raw,
Okay.
and the thing is when you cook the raw bones and raw whatever pieces of meat you have, you're gonna get more of the sediment. I don't know. It's just scum
Hmm.
that you have to scrape off the top of the pot. You have to skim it,
Okay.
and so you do have to clean it and clarify it a little bit more than you would otherwise. Um, like if you just roast everything, throw it in, you really only need to strain it once.
Okay.
But yeah, I would if you have raw bones, I would recommend roasting them off first for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah. Makes perfect sense. Yep. Again, I haven't tried it with the venison. I really need to as well. Yeah, some duck stock is legit good, like
Oh yeah, that's
crazy,
liquid
crazy good.
gold. I love
So I'm
duck
really
stock.
excited about that. Yes.
There's this restaurant out here in Utah, and I don't know. I guess I'll give them a shout out too. They're called Ramen Ichizu, and
Okay.
just
You might have
heads
to
up,
spell
people
some of
just
these
don't know
for me.
I'm on here talking about them. So if any of them see this, like
Yes.
you know, hope it's all right. But it was a couple weeks ago. I was talking to the owner, and he was actually it's Japanese ramen that he makes,
Mm.
but he just had the idea to put elk ramen on his menu.
Ooh,
And
let's
so he told
go.
me he was like ordering elk bones and just doing the whole cooking it, making it how they do with the ramen broth. And he just did that with elk bones, and it got a ton of crazy reviews.
It
And I'm
sounds
like,
awesome.
I'm sick. Like I would love to try that. And
Yes.
so honestly, like you can do it with any bones. And
Yes.
you can mix bones too, sure. Like people will
Yeah.
probably tell you not to, but if you have some leftover bones from something else, just freaking throw it in. Like
Yeah.
make
Some
make good
surf
use
and
of
turf broth, maybe.
yeah, you're gonna get the protein, you're gonna get the collagen, you're gonna get some flavor from it. So just like throw it in a pot and cover it with water and just let it cook.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Like you said earlier, what do you have to lose? You're
Exactly.
already going to throw those bones away. Literally, the only thing you're wasting is a gallon of water and like the time that you invest into checking on it and stirring it every now and again.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Like
yeah,
I
give
think
it a
we're all
shot. Come
capable of
on.
that at some point.
I guess worst case, it might stink up your house a little bit if you do it in a weird way.
Yeah, so I
Open
learned
a
that
window.
lesson when I was
You'll be good.
making the ramen broth at home with the pig's feet. I'd say that's not a upstairs neighbor's favorite.
Oh no.
Yeah, there's a smell that comes from that one that's a little
Ooh,
unique.
that's funny.
Um, but I've definitely never had any complaints from,
Okay.
making chicken stock or beef stock at home.
There you
Everyone's
go.
probably up
You
there
just give them
wondering,
give them a little jar
what
at
are
the
they
end. You'd
eating
be
up
like,
their
"Oh, sorry."
butt? So
That's
if
hilarious.
anything, you're making your neighbors jealous.
Yes, yes. Well, so before we move on from bones real quick, how do you know when a bone is tapped out? So I smoked a whole hog like for the first time, gosh, last year, like September last year. And I really wanted to keep some of the bones for a stock. But after they've been on the smoker for like almost 24 hours, like they just looked like the marrow looked like it had all been like soaked out,
I
leached
mean,
out.
yeah, I would definitely pay attention to that, just for the sake of flavor. And you might still get something out of it, but if you
Okay.
notice that the marrow is gone and it looks kind of like a dry sponge,
It did look like a dry sponge. Yeah, that's a
yeah,
great
if
way to
it
put
looks
it.
like a dry sponge, then I would just toss it. It served
Okay.
its purpose. And so that would just mean that all that marrow and that flavor and gelatin went into the food that you cooked. And so
Yeah.
you're already eating it.
Sure. Yeah. So you don't have to feel bad about bones that
Nah.
already look like
Yeah,
they've
'cause
tapped out. So that
sometimes if
makes
you
me
get,
feel a little bit better. So I'm not. I'm trying to be less wasteful as well. Like I
yeah,
said, all
I
the
mean,
bones I've been throwing out, I'm like, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And
yeah, don't guilt yourself too hard. I mean, if you get some really good stock one time out of, some spare bones, that's, more than most people are doing.
it's
So,
true.
you can try if you have some bones from like a stock that you just made, you want to throw them in a new stock. You can
Okay.
try that. Might just kind of take up space in the pot, though, honestly.
Gotcha.
So within reason, but yeah, bones can definitely be cooked to oblivion to a point where they just serve no purpose anymore. So
Yeah.
let
They're
them
just
serve a
there.
good purpose, and time to say bye.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah. Zach. Well, what else? Let's dive into more like food waste. I've got some thoughts on some of that. Um, when we say food waste, like what comes to your mind, like from your restaurant past, like what are the things that you found to be wasteful that you did not want to take into your personal business, if that makes sense.
So I would definitely like consider, and so for the listeners at home who are just thinking for yourself in terms of like how can I be more sustainable at home,
Yeah.
that would start by only purchasing product that you're going to use, that you're going to
Good tip.
use. Don't buy any extra food that
Yeah.
you plan on leaving in the fridge for a while, and because everyone does it, food will go bad in the fridge. If it's something you can freeze, that's always really convenient because you can always revisit it later. You can freeze anything.
Sure.
And so just be conscious and be aware of what you're actually starting out with and make the best use of what you do get. And so from that point, then when you're actually in your kitchen cooking, look at what scraps you're not using. And so this
Mhm.
can go down to even like the ends of vegetables, the peelings, the little scraps that you throw away after chopping an onion or something, or a bowl of garlic or whatever it is, because all that stuff still has flavor and nutrients in it. And so what I do when I'm cooking at home is I just have like a little bowl just on the corner of my cutting board, and I just throw the scraps, the little butt ends of the onion and
Mhm.
the bottom and top of the carrot, throw that in there. And what I'll do if I'm not going to use it right away is just throw it in a bag and put it in the freezer.
Mm.
And when I plan on making a stock next, I just pull it out, roast
Nice.
everything that I threw in that bag and throw it in a pot with some bones. So if it's, still has color, like the real thing that I try to watch out for is if it's like really dirty or sometimes there's a little moldy spot, like just cut that out. You don't want to get anyone sick or yourself. So if it looks like something that might be, might upset your stomach, then just throw it away. It's too far gone. It's already waste.
Yeah.
But if it still looks healthy, you just don't know how to use it in your food that you're cooking right now.
Mhm.
Save it for later and just put it in your freezer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You said peelings, 100%. Yeah, we throw away a lot of peelings. Well, when I say throw away, in my house we do a lot of composting.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, so I chuck it in a bowl, but I'm throwing it in my garden later on.
Yeah.
So I want to I'm kind of like at a crossroads here. It's like I don't know what to do. Like I want to feed my garden and I want to give it good, awesome compost. But on the other hand, like I want to start making these stocks as well. So maybe I just need to split it 50-50 and
Yeah, I think
freeze a few,
I mean,
compost a
it's
few.
like more, what do you like? What's more important to you in the moment? I
Yeah,
guess, like, do you know that you're going to be using stock later in the week, or are your plants, needing some
well, that's the
extra
thing. I don't
nutrition?
really plan ahead. So
Plan a little
new
bit ahead.
goal, new
Right,
goals to plan
right.
ahead.
If you're, I always try to keep at least a couple quarts of stock in my freezer at all
Yeah.
times, just in case something comes up and I'm like, oh, I need stock for the soup or something. It's
Yes.
just
Yes.
always there.
Yeah.
So always have just like a little bit of backup in your freezer. And then if you don't have anything planned in the future, then yeah, just take your scraps and give them to the plants. They
Yeah.
use it too.
Or worst case scenario, chuck it all in the freezer. And if you run out of freezer space or change your mind, just
Yeah,
chuck that in the compost bin. There you go.
exactly.
Problem
I love
solved. Yes. Well, yeah, I love the idea. So if you do not compost and you're throwing all these things away, like that is like a lost gold mine, a treasure trove that you're just putting in the trash.
absolutely.
So 100%, yeah, if you buy a big real carrot instead of those pre-cut little mini things, yeah, whack off the top. The greens, do you keep the greens for stock or do you get rid of those? Like
The
on a
greens,
carrot, for
like
example.
lettuces, or what do you mean?
No, like the top, like the leaves of a carrot, like the green part
Oh yeah.
on a carrot.
Well, it depends on what I buy. So when I buy the carrots that have the tops on them,
Mhm.
which I prefer to, just because they're beautiful, you can use them
Just
as a
look cooler.
garnish.
Yeah.
We were doing a dish where we made a carrot top pesto,
Mm,
and it was
okay.
amazing. It was so
Really?
delicious. So those carrot tops, there is a lot of flavor in there.
Really? Okay.
And if you can like shock them and blanch them and shock them, and you can use them as a garnish. They kind of taste like, I don't know, probably compare it to parsley or something.
Okay.
So you can, if you get creative, you can definitely find use for those.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
then if not, you can still just throw them in a stock.
Okay. So kind of like in the parsley realm, you said flavor wise for it,
Yeah,
the leaves of a
they're a
carrot.
little bitter. They're
Yeah.
bright. They have a little bit of sweetness to them, and then they
Okay.
kind of have the aroma of a carrot.
Oh,
So they're
nice.
still usable for sure.
That sounds super cool. Well, yeah. Keep your carrot greens. Keep the tops and the bottoms of the carrots. I'd say wash it really, really, really well
Yeah,
before
make
you
sure it's
peel
clean.
it, before you cut it. Yeah. Then use your carrot as you would, and then save all those bits for stock. Like it's crazy good. You're not gonna regret that. What else do you find that people are throwing away? Like potatoes, like potato peels. Would you
I
put
would
those in a
compost
stock?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a stock, and it's just gonna make it starchy,
Mm,
and you're not gonna get a lot of flavor from it.
copy.
Uh, oh, something happened. Can you see
All
me?
good. Yep. All good. I would say just don't peel your potatoes. Just
Yeah, or that.
keep them on. Yeah. I love like a good chunky skin on mashed potato. Like, oh, it's so good. Like just that, I don't know what it is, that texture. I'm a little weird because I'm the only one in my family that likes the potato skins on in a mashed potato, but there's
Nothing
just
wrong
something
with that.
about it. Yeah. It adds some good flavor and some interesting texture. And
Yeah,
yeah.
I like the texture. It does like kind of. I like a smooth potato, but that's just because I'm a little bougie. Sometimes we make like the potato
I think
puree.
that's the key right there is I get lazy and I don't want to mash them up enough.
Yeah, but also something is also worth considering. It's really just like, how much time do you have? Like, you talk to a lot of people
There you go.
about cooking at home and what they make for themselves and their families and stuff, and the number one excuse is just, I don't have the time to cook. And
Yeah.
you could probably make time to cook. Just
Yeah.
some things you can skip, like peeling potatoes. Make sure they're clean and washed, but
Yes.
you can totally eat those. So if you don't have the time to peel them, don't worry about it. Just eat it.
Oh yeah. Dude, a crispy skin on a baked potato. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I know what I'm doing later. Not peeling
Yes.
potatoes. Um, on the potato note, what are some other items that you would not recommend putting in a stock? Is there anything like any vegetable or protein?
Vegetables or proteins, you can pretty much throw anything in. Just make sure it's clean. and doesn't have any weird smells to it. I've
Sure.
definitely had some stock where we somehow there was something rotten got in it and it
Oh
just ruined the
no.
whole batch.
Yeah.
And even though it's technically, we would boil it, so it was technically safe to eat, there was still a funkiness coming from it. And so I was like, I don't know
Yeah.
what's happening in there, but
Oh
I
no.
don't eat it. Even if it's
Yeah.
safe, it doesn't taste right. So
So
definitely still consider flavor.
mm-hmm.
Um, if it's something,
100%.
and
Yeah. If it
also
smells
if you're
weird or looks weird, yeah, avoid
yeah,
those.
and for the hunters out there, I don't know if this needs to be said, but don't put anything with hair in your stock because hair can make it through a strainer and that'd be gross.
Yes.
So
That would be
definitely
gross.
make sure the food is cleaned nice and um, looks still healthy to eat.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%.
Not rotten, not
Yes.
covered in dirt,
If
nothing like
if you're
that.
only cooking for yourself, give it the old lick test.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
If your
just throw it on the
vegetables, yeah, if
floor.
you lick them and the vegetables are still like they taste all
Yeah.
right, yeah, chuck them in
Yeah,
there.
if it sticks for the ceiling into the ceiling for like less than 5 seconds, you should be fine.
Oh, that's fantastic. Oh man, where are we going with this? What's next on the list here? Um, food waste and stock. Where yeah, sorry, you lost my train of thought here. Thinking about weird food things.
No worries.
Um, what's on your mind right now? Well, where do you want to take this?
Well, it seems like there's a lot of hunters on your. That's kind of like there's a lot of hunters that follow you, and so I
Yeah,
think this is something that could be important to them because a lot of hunting, a lot of people hunt because it is traditional. It's
yeah,
more humane than watching some of we've all seen the videos of how some animals are slaughtered
yeah.
and processed in factories and um, so that is one thing that comes up. A lot of hunters will say like it's better than a cow that died in agony and unhealthy and stuff like that.
Definitely
And
raised in better conditions than some.
yeah, and so I think just the whole idea of sustainability can be brought full circle throughout, from start to finish, from the beginning of the hunt to the end meal that you make with the food. Consider all this stuff along the way, and you're leaving less of a carbon footprint on the planet.
Oh yeah,
And so I just like to give props to the people that are hunting out there, and they really care about this, and they also just want to make good food. This is for
yeah,
you.
100%. Yeah, and like I said, stock is just going to elevate everything like infinitely. Um,
You're so healthy when you're sick, just you can't stomach food. Just sip on some stock, get some protein, some gelatin,
yeah,
some
yeah, yeah.
tastes good. Why not?
100%. Yeah. Well, you mentioned early. Yeah. I mean, it's good for your skin and your hair and your nails. Like it's all that collagen and it's all of that. Just I don't know what else besides collagen that's
Yeah,
coming out of these bones.
I,
But
I
it's
don't I don't
good,
know the specifics off the
healthy.
top of my head, but there is definitely gelatin that comes from
Yeah.
the bones, so it does add like a texture to your soups.
Mhm.
So it's not watery.
Yeah.
Um, even
But
the gelatin
it's
right.
that nutrient that we're kind of lacking on. I would say, like big air quotes, like country as a whole, like just eating big box, eating, fast food, eating just prepackaged things where there are no bones. There are
Mhm.
none of this collagen is making it into our diet. So like I feel like a lot of us could really use like that extra collagen boost. So whether
Yeah,
you take it separately as a supplement, we talked to Caitlin Green a while ago, a nutritionist, and she recommended, yeah, just eat more collagen. Eat more stuff on the bone, and if you don't feel like eating off the bone, make some stocks. Like you're just gonna
yeah, exactly. There's
liquefy all of those nutrients and take them that way.
yeah, the past couple of years I've been like really considerate of what I put into my body,
We need
and
to be, yeah,
I just avoid ultra processed foods at all costs, and even just highly and just most processed food, honestly, because there's going to be
yeah,
just a lot of weird ingredients that don't come from food. They might be derived from food, but
hmm
your kidneys, your liver, your intestines might not be able to process everything the same as it would with the real stuff.
Yeah.
And I've talked to doctors about it. It's really healthy to just eat real food. There's a guy, he's written a few different books. Michael Pollan.
Okay.
If you're familiar with him,
I'm
he
not.
says
No, Michael.
like the key to eating is, what does he say? Like eat a lot of eat vegetables, some meat. He doesn't preach eating too much meat. And he says don't eat too much. But basically what he says is don't eat food that isn't cooked by a human. And that's one thing I really adopted into my own diet is like, if I'm not cooking it, or if it's not real food cooked by a chef, or, prepared as it should be, then I don't want to eat it, because I don't really know all the chemicals that are in food, but I know how they make me feel. I know what gives me energy. I can tell what my stomach needs. If you have a weak stomach, if you have problems with insulin, I mean, there's so many different things. Lately, I've been really resenting the food pyramid that got crammed on down our throats as kids, and how that is just so backwards, and how it generalizes, how you should be eating.
Yeah.
It says like 6 to 11 servings of carbs a day. And I think that's so unnecessary and could be detrimental to somebody who can't process that.
I mean, look at our generation right now.
Yeah, like diabetes wasn't really a thing until the food pyramid came out, because people don't really realize like your body processes certain things as sugar.
Yeah. Well, do you think also like kind of in that realm, like that food pyramid was designed for people who are on their feet a lot more, or just in general, like flat out, it's wrong? Like our generation is definitely a lot more sedentary.
Wrong, but there is evidence that it was like lobbied by certain food corporations trying to push their products. So there was definitely like companies that were selling a lot of bread, a lot of like Wonder Bread. I don't, just spitfiring here, I don't know exacts, but it was definitely pushed by some of those food companies, and they were saying, tell them they need to eat more bread. You really don't eat that much bread. You can eat bread. Bread's fine. Bread's good. If you do eat bread, eat real bread that somebody cooked in an oven.
Yes.
Not
make your own sourdough. 100%. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Eat real food is definitely a big trend that, like, honestly, almost everybody we talk to, like 100% says eat real food. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And making it yourself, just, whether you hunt or not, whether you do this or do that, and I would just take control over what you put in your body.
Yeah.
And by doing it yourself, via either hunting or making your own stock, or making this, making that, you are taking control of that food item.
Totally. Yeah, I mean, it's just better for your health overall. I think a lot of health problems that a lot of people have start really young, because they're not eating very good food. There's a lot of food that's pushed, marketed for kids, cereals, like all the cereal.
Cereal's horrible. Yeah.
Food, all this, processed snacks and stuff. You're doing yourself and your kids a disservice if you just cram that down their faces. And I don't care if I catch any flack for this, but those kids deserve real food.
They do. Yeah. It's the battle of convenience. We've had this chat a lot with a lot of different people, and again, that cost of convenience is pretty high. It's very high, and it's definitely going to make a dent in how these humans are functioning in a decade.
Yeah, and I think that's why it's important that you're doing what you're doing with this podcast, and just kind of expanding as much as you can and getting this knowledge out there, because for some people, believe it or not, this is new information. And I'm here to preach and just say, like, just do it.
Yeah. I mean, education is one of our pillars, so
absolutely,
we got to learn. Yeah. Either whether you're doing it yourself or not, just know what you are putting in your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like, we all love charcuterie, but it comes at a cost, like all that salt, all that processed stuff. And charcuterie is just like the first thing that came to my mind, just because I've been eating a ton of it lately. It's going to be impossible to get rid of all the processed food.
Yeah, but even
some
like
of it's phenomenal, but
the cheeses that you're putting on your charcuterie board, buy like real aged cheese that doesn't
yes,
have color additives to it. All
skip
that
the cheese
yellow cheese
whiz.
that you see on, yellow and orange
Oh
cheddar.
yeah,
Cheese doesn't That's not the normal color of cheese. That cheese comes from milk.
yeah,
Milk is white, sometimes a little off-white, but
yeah.
it's definitely
But
not
not
orange.
neon yellow. No,
So why are we eating that? I don't know.
dude, that's funny. All right, we're getting off topic a little bit here. A little
All
off
right.
topic.
No,
Bringing it back to stocks, stocks and food waste, I suppose. Um, Using stock. Do you have any fun tips on that? I mean, like obviously soups come to mind, but where else are you using this like precious liquid? Any like dishes that might surprise people? Like,
yeah.
do you make rice with stock? Would that be cool?
Oh, totally. Yeah. Wow. Easy. So, something I like to do is I'll take pork stock and I'll make farro. Are you
Okay.
familiar with that?
Nope.
It's a grain, and but you can do it with rice or any grain basically, but
Mhm.
or beans.
Oh, there
Anything
you
like
go.
that that needs to cook in liquid. If you just switch out water for stock, you're getting all that in whatever you're preparing. So whether it's rice or beans or any other sort of any grain that's out there. The other day, one of my friends, they made it was like a savory oatmeal, and
Ooh.
I was actually thinking of making something similar to this with farro, but with her oatmeal, like they had made braised short ribs like the night
Mm.
before, and they
Oh my
saved
gosh.
that jus from the short ribs, the liquid that they didn't use, and she mixed that with oatmeal, and then
Oh
she
my
took some of the
gosh.
meat, some of the short rib meat, and mixed that in and made like a healthy like meat and oats dish, and it was
Oh my
super
word.
savory, and I thought it was a brilliant idea. I never even thought of that, but I was like, dang,
Dude,
that is
that
actually
sounds
cool.
exquisite.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my word.
just had a couple bites and I was like, "This is awesome. Good for you."
Yes. Holy cow. I'm just thinking about like that for breakfast versus like
Yeah,
a
yeah, right?
bowl of
And you get all the
Fruit
fiber
Loops.
you need, it's amazing. I was like, this
Holy
is
cow.
such a good idea," and it tasted great. I would eat it whenever.
Yes.
And then there's other things you can do with stock, like, um, a lot of people, easy one, a common one, I guess, a lot of people like honey glazed
Mhm.
whatever, honey glazed chicken, honey glazed salmon, something like that. You can use stock. So if you're making a sauce, especially with sugar in it, that you're going to throw in the oven, sugar burns pretty easily,
Yeah.
and so you can mellow out that sauce and kind of level out the sugar content of that sauce and give it kind of more of a threshold of like temperatures that it can withstand
Sure.
uh, by just cutting in a little bit of stock. So
Okay.
something I was doing the other day was I was making like a honey miso glazed salmon, and miso will burn and
Okay.
honey will burn if you cook it too long or too hot.
Sure.
Both those things will burn easily. So what I did is I mixed it, added a little soy sauce for flavor, but then I just cut in like for how much I had, I just added like half a cup of chicken stock. And it sounds like people are gonna be like, weird, chicken stock on fish. No, it made the sauce more flavorful. It just gave it more of a base flavor, rounded out the flavor a little bit. It was
That's awesome.
amazing on salmon, and it kept the sauce from getting too burnt while I was like basting the salmon in the sauce in the pan,
Nice.
and
That's
it,
brilliant. Yeah.
it was a perfect glaze. It was so good.
Yes.
Very
I'm thinking like barbecues now. It's like, you spritz with like your apple cider vinegar and yeah, some of those recipes call for sugar and I've had some get a little too crispy.
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, from the
yeah,
sugars probably getting too
yeah,
hot and
exactly.
cooking too
Sugar
long. So
sugar is definitely gonna be the thing that burns before anything else.
yeah,
Butter burns pretty quick, easy, and
yeah,
so using stock just kind of can save your food, give you a little more forgiveness for taking higher temperatures and higher cooking times. Um,
nice.
and then like I don't know, like I was making barbecue sauce, and I
Yes.
think I pretty much replicated Wendy's barbecue sauce at
Ooh,
home.
there you go.
Their old barbecue sauce before they switched over. Now, I haven't been to Wendy's in a long time,
Oh man.
but I was making barbecue sauce at home. I had, all the ingredients in the pot and everything, and it was pretty thick, and I was like, it's missing something. And so
Okay.
I just put in a little bit of pork stock in there, and I was like, that's it. I just invented
Really?
Wendy's barbecue sauce. And
Pork stock.
yeah, just pork stock.
Dude, that's awesome. I
Yeah,
literally just Googled a recipe to make my own barbecue sauce because like I haven't tried it. It's like,
yeah,
why not?
it's,
Why not learn how to do this? Come on.
yeah, it's just, the black pepper, brown sugar, paprika. I like sumac. It's kind of like a blend
Yeah.
of spices. I'll throw that in barbecue. A little bit of mustard, Worcestershire,
Nice.
and just cook it in a pot with some ketchup.
Yes. Yeah. I don't. I've tried a couple in the past, and I think it's like the vinegar and sugar.
Oh,
I
yeah.
always forget about.
The vinegar is a key component of barbecue
Yeah.
sauce that I
For sure. Yeah.
based on that. But yeah,
Yes. Well, so when you said cooking beans in stock, got me thinking a little bit, and I'm gonna quote Strong Bad, an internet character from my past. Strong Bad. He
yes,
he
Homestar.
once Homestar Runner. Yeah.
Yes.
I guess it might have been Homestar Runner. No, it was Strong
Yeah.
Bad. It was definitely Strong Bad. He said too much, or he said, oh gosh, what is the quote? I'm blanking now. He said, oh geez, I'm gonna have to cut this out because I can't believe I just forgot this quote. He said like something like, so much of a good thing like is awesome, or too much of a good thing is awesome, but too much of an awesome thing is really, really dumb and bad. That's the quote. Yes. So too much of a good thing is awesome, but too much of an awesome thing is really, really dumb and bad.
Yeah.
If you
yeah,
cook,
I think that's a
if you cook
pretty cool
beans like in a pork stock, and then make ham and bean soup with those beans, like is that level of flavor just going to be like so awesome that it's terrible, or do you think that's gonna work? Okay.
I don't think you would disappoint Strong Bad at all. I think you'd be very happy with that one.
Okay.
I would say that's a very good idea.
So it would not be so awesome that it's terrible.
Yeah, I
It'd be-
wouldn't say it's too awesome.
Okay,
I'd say that'd be like a great way to do it. That's how I would do it.
Nice. Okay.
I usually cook my beans in stock at home.
Okay. That was basically just a really long, obnoxious way to say like how much is too much. So
Yeah,
if
you
you're
can-
using
The
stock.
great thing about stock is like, it's as long as it's not too salty, you can
True, yeah.
stretch it, you can reduce it, you can do whatever you need to it to make it fit the
Yeah.
food you're working with. And if you're just layering flavor like that, that's the key. Like layering flavor in a way of like cooking beans in stock and then adding those beans to a soup or a chili or something. That's how you make the difference between good food to great food is
Okay,
just
yeah.
that extra care. And that's creative. It's going to be delicious. It's going to be more healthy. That is what we support.
Yes.
So I would say try it.
Perfect. All right. And if it's too awesome that it's terrible, dial it back next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Keep notes.
One thing I will say that maybe I should have said sooner was I don't season my stock with meaning salt, just salt.
Sure.
Salt. I don't add salt until I need to, and so when I'm cooking at home, I don't really know what I'm going to do with all the stock that I'm making,
Yeah,
and so
good
for
point.
that purpose, I don't season it until I know what I'm doing with it.
Yes.
Because you can over season your stock, and to mellow it out, you just have to add water.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't need that much stock. And so take it easy with the salt. You can season it a little bit if you're gonna, use it right away. Go for it. Get it to the salt level you want, but be careful with the salt.
Yes. And I would say right off the top of my head, like if you do happen to over salt your stock, I would say freeze that, keep it, don't throw it away. Label it in your freezer, hey, a little too salty. And then next time you make stock, cut that in half and add that to your new stock.
Yeah, exactly.
And
That's what I do. I label
keep it
everything.
rolling. Yeah.
And if there's something weird about it that I'm gonna forget about, most likely, I'll just make a little note. I use
100%. If I don't write it down, it's
extra
gone.
salty stock, cut it with something,
Yeah.
I'll know what to do with it.
Yeah. Because like the bad thing about stock is like, yeah, if it's too salty, you put more water in it, but like we're just gonna reduce that down anyways and get rid of that water. So it's not really gonna do much unless you're just instantly using it.
That one and just take the old one that has too much salt and just mix it all together.
Yeah, for sure. Yes. Well, I don't need to keep you too much longer. I've got one hot tip for storing stock. I've got one of the chamber vac sealers from Anova. And dude, that thing has been game-changing good. Anova is not a sponsor. I would love to chat with them if somebody knows somebody. But Anova's vacuum seal, any chamber vac would work great. I just have Anova. But like sealing your stock in a very flat, air-free vessel makes like just stacking it in the fridge. You can stack it on end like a bookshelf. Just like flat liquids in your freezer is the way to go. In the past, yes. I would put it in ball jars and just leave like way too much headspace. So like when it freezes, it doesn't shatter your jar. But like those things just consume so much of your freezer. Yeah. Putting it in Tupperware is the same way. Like growing up, my dad always had Tupperware containers in the fridge, and half of them would bulge and crack, and just so much wasted space. So my hot tip, chamber vac.
Can I add on to that hot tip?
Yes, please.
Let me go grab something. Give me like 20 seconds. Let me go grab something, and I'll show you what I do.
Yes, please.
Back. Yes. And now the dog is sitting on my feet.
Gotta stay warm.
A bilingual English Springer Spaniel.
No way.
So, speaks fluent Spanish and fluent English.
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a character. So this is what I use to store my stocks. So these are deli containers. We use these in restaurants, but you can order them on Amazon. Just go to Amazon, type in deli food storage containers, and these will pop up. So this is 1 quart.
Yes.
And so usually when I make my stocks, I'll portion it into these, but too many of these in your freezer, they're pretty big. They'll fill your freezer up a lot. But if you take that stock and you reduce it down to half, this is 2 cups.
Nice.
You can put this into this, and then just label it, say, concentrated stock.
So just cook it longer, evaporate more of that liquids, yeah.
Yeah, you can even, this is 1 cup. So 4 cups, 1 cup. You can reduce stock that's this size down to this size. Yes. Consolidate it in your freezer. You can even take it further and make it the size of an ice cube.
Oh, geez.
Freeze them in ice cube trays. I do that sometimes. Yes. But definitely,
I do that with pesto. Yeah, I've never thought about doing that with stock.
Yeah,
we thought about that. Yeah.
It basically turns into this thick. It turns into like a really viscous sauce.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's kind of weird looking, but when I do that at home, you have to remember how concentrated it is, so that one ice cube will equal one of these.
Oh my word.
But it's so easy to order these, and a few of these in your freezer, you'll be fine. And
absolutely, yeah.
That's what I do. I definitely do use a vacuum sealer as often as I can. It is a great way to store. It's the best way to store anything if you're going to put it in the freezer.
I agree, yeah.
The only problem that I've heard with other people who, just don't cook as much, and they tend to make a mess, or some people just don't have vacuum sealers.
Yeah.
And so this is another really easy option. You just order it, put your stuff in here, freeze it. Always freeze it with the lid off or cracked open, and then I only fill it to about here.
Okay.
It expands up, and then that's why you have glass jars breaking. I don't use glass. That's just
be very careful if you put a ball jar in your freezer. Yeah. Definitely leave. It's fine. Yeah, if you leave a ton of headspace. A ton of headspace.
Yeah, glass just scares me with storing food and stuff. I'll use it in my fridge, but I mean, we all have mason jars, so you got to use them for something.
It's true, yeah.
But if I'm freezing it, I'll go towards these containers before anything else. And the vacuum sealer is great. I use that more for sauces.
Okay.
It's really easy for sauces, and then it makes it super easy to thaw. You just run water over it until it's thawed.
That was a big selling point for me, is like, because with the chamber vac, like there's such a thin package, you can almost thaw it in like 5 minutes in the sink. Whereas
Yeah,
like if you have
exactly.
this giant tub, if you
Yeah,
use that
freezer.
four quart
If you
or
have
the 4 cup,
stock, you're gonna have to just, run water over this and then dump it in the pot and just let it
yeah,
melt. And so it does take longer.
yeah,
But for the sake of convenience, there's, pros and cons on both sides.
every
But
way for sure.
what I'm saying is there's definitely options. It's
Yeah.
doable for anybody.
What we're trying to say is you don't have an excuse.
Yes,
Just get out and do this.
exactly. Come at us.
Yes. Do you need a chamber vac? Absolutely not. You can use your old butter jar. So
But should you be making stocks at home?
100%.
Yes.
Let's go.
Love it.
Yes. So one last thought here before we kick it off. Pantry stable stock. Is that something we can throw in like a pressure canner? Have you done any research there?
That's a good question. It's
The only
worth
reason
looking
I ask is
into.
because we're at the end of hunting season and my freezers are just like at capacity. It's like I literally don't have room for one more tub in my freezer.
I'm thinking that's a tough one. Like if you had some sort of like
So you have
dehydrator,
not done this
like
yourself, but
you that's what they do. Those the companies that sell those little cubes and stuff. It's like dehydrated
yeah,
um, little bits of I don't know what, but they mix it with oil
okay,
and then they just solidify it somehow. But no, to answer your question, I've never found a way to store stock
okay. Yeah, there might
dry.
be an issue with acidity, maybe, and it would just maybe alter the stock in a way that's not super
Yeah,
ideal without adding all those preservatives that we're trying to avoid.
I'm kind of mad at myself now for not knowing that. But I should,
Oh no,
do some research. Maybe
yeah,
we can revisit this.
it's out there somewhere. Yeah,
Yeah,
shelf stable stock I think would be awesome, but
that would be.
um,
I like
we'll see.
that.
We'll just eat more meat and free up freezer space.
Yeah.
So,
Let's just convince everyone to buy an extra freezer.
oh yes, there we go. Wife, I
Yeah.
need 3 freezers now.
I'm going to buy half a cow today.
Oh
So
yeah, that's gonna be a fun conversation.
you come home with the cow first, like, oh no,
Where do we
like,
put this?
guess I'm gonna have to get a freezer.
Oh my word! All right, Ian, I gotta let you go here, dude. Thank you so much for joining us. Where can people find you?
So I would say just find me on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's eats.with.ian, IAN. Eats with Ian on Instagram. My DMs are open to anybody. I don't have a huge page or
Brilliant.
anything, but I love educating people as much as I can, and I love doing things like this. I love
Yeah.
I love sharing what I know, at least. Hopefully that it can come
Awesome. Yeah.
across.
And
How
Montana, is that right? You're in Montana?
I'm in Utah. Sorry, I
Utah.
don't know if I mentioned that.
You did.
I
I forgot.
talked about Park City, but yeah, I'm in
Park
Utah.
City. Yeah, if
So
you're in Park City,
Utah.
Utah, and you don't feel like cooking,
Call
call
me.
Ian. Yes.
Yeah.
Or if you got the budget for a plane ticket, call Ian. He'll do some cooking for
Dude,
you.
That's
figure
I
it
was
out.
gonna say we should actually I would love to come out and have an excuse. I've never had an excuse to go to Indiana, but let's make
Yeah.
one. So
In
if
May, come watch
actually
the
work
race.
something
We'll do
out,
some cooking.
yeah, get some cameras going and just make
Let's
it
go.
fun and something
I'm all for
anyone.
it.
That'd be sick.
Yes, community. We'll do an outing here at some point.
Ooh,
The
yes.
Okayest Cook rendezvous.
Yeah, let's just go
Yes.
out and I'll just cook in the wild over an open flame.
Yes, let's go.
Do a lot of that. I love it.
Brilliant. I'm on it. Well, on our way out here, recipe, you kind of already went over. Like, I love what you said about stock. We'll kind of use that stock recipe as our outro recipe. Do you have maybe any other tips or tricks if somebody's going to start making their own stock? Let's say they've never done it. You already mentioned time and bring it to a simmer, and you don't need anything but bones. But anything else on your mind about stock?
Just for people listening at home, just let's keep it simple. So as many bones and
I like that.
scraps from the protein that you have. So say it's a chicken. So you have a chicken carcass and you want to make some stock out of it. Take that chicken carcass, cover it mostly with water, cold water in a pot, and then take about 3 carrots, 3 celery sticks, and 1 large onion. Chop those up and roast them off a little bit. Get some color on them in the oven, or you can saute them. That works too.
Sure.
Get some color for flavor. Throw those vegetables on top of that chicken in the water. And then if you have herbs on hand, or if you want to just make a more flavorful stock, throw some thyme, some rosemary, and a couple bay leaves in there as well. And then fill it until there's a little bit of water above all the vegetables, and heat it up to close to a boil, and then drop the heat to a simmer. And then let that simmer for a minimum of 4 hours.
Copy.
So when you do this, you want to do it right. Just plan ahead. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Plan ahead. Your house will smell amazing.
It does.
And your neighbors will be jealous, and your
Yes.
food will taste better. So
Yes.
bones in pot, water. Throw in vegetables. Throw in herbs if you have them. And then just let it simmer for hours. And if you really want to know, you can cook it for up to 16 hours. I don't take my stocks longer than that, but I do sometimes let them go overnight, and it does extract more collagen out of it
Mhm.
and a little bit more flavor. After 4 hours, you'll have all the flavor you need.
Okay.
You want it to be more healthy and more viscous, and just get the last of whatever's left in those bones. Go up to 16 hours if you feel like it, but it's not necessary. And that's the great thing about stocks, is that there doesn't need to be a one-size-fits-all recipe for exactly how you want it. But definitely think sustainably and make the best of the ingredients you have and make better food.
Yes. Dude, there's no better way to end it. I love it. Thank you so much, Chef. We'll be in touch about the Okayest Cook Rendezvous.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. And
No problem.
hopefully, honestly, like if any of the viewers want to reach out and learn more, hit me up. I'd love to get in touch with some people, and I think it's fun for me, so I'm happy to do it.
Let's go. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk soon.